Hello everybody, welcome to the very first update video for best teams for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And we're doing the standard formats again, but as you can see that these teams are not full anymore. That's because these are the Pokemon that will remain on the team, and any empty slots will just be given to entirely new Pokemon. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to edit the current members that are in the team if they need editing, and then I go into depth on the new members. So starting off, Great Tusk is pretty much exactly the same as what it was before, and Goldango is the same way. These two Pokemon are remaining on the team. However, team member number 3 now goes to Iron Valiant. And we're going to make it Terra Steel like we make most of our Pokemon. Terra Steel's just that good. Calling it Galgarays, as we call all of our Iron Valiants. And we're going to run a Booster Energy Iron Valiant. And we're going to go special, so we're going to do Moonblast, Thunderbolt, Psyshock. You know, we're actually going to go mixed. Let's go close combat as well. And we're going to go with this Eevee spread. I like this one a lot. And yeah, and then next we're going to be including Glimmora as a good hazard lead. We're going to go Terra Grass. And go with Focus Sash. And so of course, most Glimmoras run Rocks, Earth Power. But then we're going to surprise our opponent and go more offensive with Power Gem and Dazzling Gleam. And then we're going to actually go with offensive EVs. Most people don't expect Glimmora to be this offensive. Most of the time it's like, oh, it's going to set up rocks, it's going to set up spikes. That's what Glimmoras do. It's a hazard setter. But with these offensive moves, you'll definitely get your opponent, cut your opponent off guard. Next we're going to go with King Gambit. And of course we're going to go Supreme Overlord, Terra Flying. And we're going to go with the Leftovers King Gambit. And go Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, Kowtow Cleave, and Iron Head. And we're going to EV it more like a normal offensive sweeper. I know we've run a lot of King Gambits with weird EVs in the past, but this one's going to definitely be more of a standard offensive Pokemon. And finally, we're going to go with Dragapult, because Dragapult is really rising right now. People are realizing how good it is and why it was top 3 in Sword and Shield. We're going to go with Infiltrator. We're going to go with the special one though, so we're going to go with Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, and Flamethrower. And of course, we're going to have the Timid Eevees. Alright, next we're moving on to Ubers, which as you can tell is the team that is staying the most the same, because the Ubers meta has not changed a whole lot. We are going to make some changes to the Pokemon themselves, so we're going to be going with a heavy duty boots, Miraidon this time, and instead of Gleam we'll have Agility to make sure we outspeed all of those opposing Scarf users, because there's a lot of Scarf users in Ubers. So just making sure we have that extra speed and making it so we can outspeed pretty much everything on the field. Koraidon is staying mostly the same. Actually entirely the same. We're keeping Koraidon the same. Flutter Mane, we are going to also switch to a Scarf. As you can tell, Scarf is very, very important. And we're keeping the set the same. We are keeping everything else the same, just switching its item, the Scarf. And Iron Treads is also going to be staying the same, except for no, never mind, it's also entirely the same. Sorry, I think I see something different that would make more sense, but then I second guess myself and be like, no, it's actually not going to be any different. And Great Tusk is the one that's going to be different. So we are keeping Spin, we're keeping Stealth Rocks, we're keeping Earthquake, but we're switching Knockoff out for Play Rough, because Fairy coverage is so important. As you can tell, the two legends are weak to Fairy. The opposing Great Tusks are weak to Fairy. Fairy coverage is so important. But the final Pokemon we're adding to this team is actually going to be Iron Bundle. And that's because this thing is so strong. It was in Ubers for a while. Last month it wasn't really that relevant, but now it's relevant again. So we're going to be running the usual Hydro Pump, Freeze Dry, Ice Beam for that extra ice damage, and Flip Turn if we need, in case we need to switch out. And of course we're going to go with a special attacking EV spread. And we're going to call our Iron Bundle Telebird. Alright, as for Yu, Tinkaton and Tyranitar are the only two that are staying on the team. Tinkaton we will be keeping the same, except for we're going to be switching its EVs. So we're going to make it less standard. We're going to have max HP, 84 attack, and the rest is going to go into special defense. And we're actually going to have a special defense boosting nature, but instead of a speed boosting nature. And as for Tyranitar, we're keeping Crunch, we're keeping Stone Edge, we're keeping Earthquake, but we're getting rid of Stealth Rocks and adding Dragon Dance to have a much more offensive Tyranitar. And with the offensive Tyranitar comes more offensive EVs. We're now having max attack, max speed, and the remaining in special defense. So it's a much more basic, and we're going to switch its nature to Jolly, because speed is more important on a T-Tar, on an offensive sweeping T-Tar, that is. The rest of the team is going to be switched out. We're starting with Slowking. Slowking is just a really good defensive Pokemon, and we really need that on this UU team. So of course we're going to be running Boots, Chilly Reception, which is essentially just Teleport, but it also puts out Snow in case we have any Ice types. We don't have any Ice types, but that's okay. I just think it's funny. And Surf for Stab. Slack Off Healing, Future Sight. We're gonna go with max HP, max special defense. Let's just go with this EV spread. And let's put out another Sandsetter. Let's get Hippowdon up in here. This Hippowdon being legal. A lot of these Pokemon being legal in UU is kind of insane to me. We're going with our Rocky Helmet, Sandstream. Of course, we need to heal. We have Earthquake. We have Rocks and Whirlwind. Most Hippowdons are run like this. This isn't that crazy a set. Its EVs are going to be a little bit different though. Why? You can't need boost HP. Go with a defense boosted, and then the rest will go in special defense. Alright, next we're going to actually use a new Pokemon, Bramblegast. This Pokemon's actually pretty dang good. Like Windrider, if this is really niche, but if someone does have Tailwind, then we get stronger. But we're gonna want Boots, Rapid Spin, Strength Sap, Spikes, and Shadow Ball. And we're gonna go with a mostly boosting defense, not quite to the max. We'll go 240 plus nature, and we don't need special attack. And I mean, actually, technically do for Shadow Ball. So I'm actually gonna change my EV spread that I originally had written down because I don't actually like this EV spread. Sorry, it's taking me a bit to figure out what EVs I want for this Bramblegast. Jolly also gets rid of special attack. We're gonna go with Bold, because we're gonna go with max HP and defense and a little bit of special defense. Alright, and then our last member is going to be Salamence, because Salamence in UU is still nutso. And we're going with Moxie, Earthquake, Dragon Dance, Dual Wing Beat, and Roost. And we're gonna go with this EV spread. Alright, now we're going to move on to RU, and RU is mostly the same. Unfortunately, Espeon got banned, which is why it is no longer the lead of this team. Toxtricity is going to be run the same. Flamigo is going to be run the same. Slowbro is going to be run a little bit differently. We're going to go leftovers over Rocky Helmet. And then Psyshock over Future Sight. And we're going to go with Calm Mind instead of Thunder Wave. We are keeping its EVs the same though. And then Crook is run almost the same, but we're going to go a little bit more defensive. So we're keeping Stealth Rock and Crunch, or we're keeping Earthquake and Crunch for Stealth Rock and Taunt. And we're keeping the EVs the same. But for new Pokemon, we're going to be adding Weavile. Because, once again, the power creep in this generation is absolutely insane. So we're going to be going Heavy Duty Boots. And then for Stab, we're going with Night Slash. Ice Shard in case for whatever reason we don't outspeed. And there's Ice Spinner. And then Low Kick to take care of other Weavile. And as well as more ways to kill Crook. And yep, this is going to be the EV spread. And then finally, we're going to go with Mudsdale. And when in doubt, go Terra Steel. Stamina, not Body Slam. Going with leftovers. And we're going to go Stab Earthquake, set up Rocks, Roar to get rid of opponents and take those rock damage, and then Heavy Slam just for coverage. And we're going to go with no, not this EV spread. We're gonna go max defense instead of attack. And yep, this is our new RU team. It's still very, very solid. And next we have Little Cup, which is also mostly the same, much like Uber's. But there is a couple of changes we're going to be making. Pawnyard is going to be staying the same, except for we're gonna rearrange those EVs a little bit. Putting 196 in speed, and other than that, everything else is good. I don't know why we didn't max that out before. Toadscool, we are messing with a little bit. We're gonna have 36 HP. We're now having some nature lowering in attack and raising that speed. That speed is going all the way up to 196. And then otherwise everything's the same. Marini, we are keeping the same, but we are messing with the TVs as well. So 196 in HP, 192 in defense, and we're taking a lot out of special defense. 92 in special attack, and then a mere 20 in special defense. And then as for Diglett, Diglett is pretty much the exact same, and we're keeping everything the same about Diglett. And then Glimmet, we are switching from Focus Sash to Eviolite, and Stealth Rock, Power Gem, Sludge Bomb, and Mudshot, so we're keeping everything the same on Glimmet. But our new team member is going to be Crabrawler. And Crabrawler, we're going to go with, once again, Terra Steel. Not Terra Rock, Terra Steel. And Iron Fist, Eviolite. And we're going to be running Drain Punch, Ice Punch, Bulk Up, and of course Thunder Punch. EVs, we're going to go 20 attack because it doesn't actually need all that much. This attack is insane for a Little Cup. 140 in defense. We don't need special attack. 60 in special defense. And then a full max speed. So this thing will be outspeeding a lot. And yeah. Next we'll move on to Monotype, which as you can tell, Tinglu is the only one left. And that's because we are switching types even though we're keeping Tinglu. Tinglu, we are keeping mostly the same, except for we're getting rid of Ruination and going just for some Stab Earthquake. And we're going to be switching its EVs a little bit. It's going to be more specially defensive now. But we still want that last bit of investment in defense. But the rest of the team, we are now switching to Mono Dark, the other type of Tinglu. And so we're going to be adding Greninja, which Protean is super good in Monotype especially. And we're going to go Specs because of the Protean nerf. Extra Sensory, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, and Hydro Pump. Not Hydro Cannon because that's Recharge. Hydro Pump. And the basic Timid EV Spread. And we're going to add more offense on the physical side now with Chen Pao, which Chen Pao being legal in Monotype is still insane to me. We're going to go with an Ice Shard, Sacred Sword, Crunch, and Swords Dance. And of course we're going to be going the basic physical sweeper. And we're going to grab another Monotype Menace, that being Meowscarada, with Scarf Protean. Once again, Protean's crazy in Monotype because you're basically no longer Monotype. So then Flower Trick, Knock Off, Play Rough, and then U-Turn. And basic physical sweeper. And then of course we can't go a dark team without King Gambit, the Supreme Overlord himself, with leftovers. We're gonna go with a Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, Katao Cleave, Iron Head set. That's basically the same as our OU set. But we're gonna EV it a little bit differently. We're gonna EV it more like what's recommended. And our final member is actually going to be Iron Jugulus, or how I like to call him, Hydroidon. And we're going to be going Specs, and then go with Hurricane, Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, and Air Slash, in case we want a more accurate move that will likely kill anyways. Because this special attack plus the speed is bonkers. And Hydroidon Iron Jugulus is honestly a little bit underrated. It's just getting outshadowed by normal form Hydreigon. And as you can tell, 1v1, the 1v1 team is getting completely changed. So we're gonna start with Iron Hands. I mean, what I mean is completely changed. It's completely changed from the original February 1v1 team, because this team got patched because Goldango got banned. So Iron Hands was on the last on the updated version, but I didn't have it upload. I didn't have that in a full-length video, so it's completely changed from the last time we made this video. So we're gonna go with a Booster Energy, CC, Wild Charge, Earthquake, and Fake Out. And then we want as much offense as possible, because ideally in 1v1 you just OHKO your opponent and that's it. Just a little bit of speed in case your opponent also has Iron Hands. Next we're going to go with Dondozo, and of course we want as much offense as possible, so we want that Choice Band, Wave Crash, Heavy Slam because it's a heavy Pokemon, Earthquake, and Avalanche. And we're actually going to go with the EV spread that it's giving us. And then finally, our third mon's going to be Scizor. And now Scizor usage has dropped off because there's no more Shenpao in a lot of places. But I think it's still a very, very strong Pokemon. So we're going to go with Bullet Punch, Close Combat, Counter as a good strategy for 1v1, because if you take more than half, then you win because you just click counter. So Swords Dance, and then yeah, the CV spread. Alright, next we have Anything Goes, which is a bit the same but also a lot different. So Miraidon, we're changing out of Scarf and we're going for leftovers, not the leak, the leftovers. And we are switching out, we're keeping Gleam, but we're getting rid of Volt Switch for Overheat, just for some additional coverage. Koraidon is still Scarfed with, we're gonna be getting rid of most of these moves. We're keeping Flare Blitz and Collision Course, but we want Close Combat for strong, super effective damage, and Flame Charge just as a way to boost speed, because once again, speed in these like hyper legendary formats is even more important than it is normally. Corviknight is staying exactly the same. This Corv worked well last month. It's going to continue to work well. And then Clodsire, we are not emphasizing as much the hazards. For if you have Toxic Spike seems a little bit more obsolete, so we're just going to go with normal spikes, just for that extra little bits of damage. But the two new mons we're adding, one of them is Great Tusk, because Tusk is amazing. In case you can't tell, we're using Tusk a lot. And we're going to go with a lefties set with Rapid Spin, Knock Off, Headlong Rush, and then Earthquake if we don't want to lower our defenses. And we're going to go with a max HP, max defense, so this is now, Photosynthesis now boosts defense instead of attack. So this thing will be even bulkier than it was before. And to get that bulk on the other side, we're going to be adding Blissey. Blissey to me is still really good. The fact that it's RU is very nutty to me, because this thing is still a crazy special wall. Like it's insane, and we're gonna give it a little bit of offense just to make it so it can actually attack if it gets taunted. But we're gonna want to EV so that we have as much defense as possible, even though that's not really that easy with how low its base defense is. Yeah, so this is the new Anything Goes team with starring more defense. Alright, and then there's Create Any Pokemon, which we are still keeping the 3 custom mons that we had before. I would say Terra is a little bit harder to use with these Pokemon, but honestly, we're going to have some other Pokemon that are easier to use with Terra. And I'm going to re-EV this Equilibra, because we made it really weird last month, and I feel like we overcomplicated it just a bit. If we simply click what is recommended, that is a much more, and we're switching back to Levitate. As for Argonaut, we are keeping everything the same, including its item. We're including everything's the same in Argonaut. Venomicon, we are going to mess with these weird EVs and make them more normal as well. We're gonna switch to be more specially defensive instead of physically defensive, and then we'll put the remaining EVs in special attack. And this is also because like stamina will just be boosting our physical defense anyways. And we're gonna add one more custom Pokemon this time, so we're gonna be adding Snailstrom, which seems to be based on like a water starter because it has Torrent. But Poison Heal, of course, because Poison Heal is one of the best abilities in the game. It's gonna be a hazard remover. It's gonna stay alive, and then you can just Toxic and you turn out. And I like the EVs that it's giving us. And yeah, now we're gonna add 2 not custom mons, starting with Garganacl, because Garganacl is still very, very, very good. I just like being a physically defensive wall. So we're gonna, of course, Salt Cure, and then Recover, Body Press, and Iron Defense. And then we're gonna want to run Specially Defensive so we can cover that, so we can be both just a wall in general. And finally, we're gonna go with Ting-Lu, because as you can tell, Ting-Lu has gotten way better without Chen Pao being around. So we're gonna go with Leftovers, Ruination, Whirlwind, Spikes, and Taunt. And we're gonna EV this a little bit weird, but not too weird. We'll go 152 defense boosted, and subtract special attack, and then we'll put the remaining 104 in special defense. Alright, and now we just have one team left, and that being Battle Stadium Singles. We're going to make it more based for Series 2. The last month's team was more based on Series 1 and just applied to Series 2. Now we're just going to make it like a real Series 2 team. So we're switching this to Banded, Dragonite. So this means this set is completely changing. So we're having Earthquake, E-Speed, Terra Blast, just for that extra coverage, and then Outrage. And then the EV spread is also becoming more basic, just with a plus attack. The Showdown gets confused a lot. When it sees Terra Blast, it still thinks special, but it's not actually a special move. It's whatever your stronger offense is, so we're still subtracting special defense. And then as for Goldango, we're switching to Covert Cloak, and we're going with a Shadow Ball, Make It Rain, Recover, Nasty Plot set this time, because we don't really need Trick if we're just running Covert Cloak. And also I'm just going to add 4 HP to defense, or not defense, HP, just because I don't know why we didn't really make use of that last time. And now here's the part where we really apply Series 2. So we're going to be adding Fluttermane, because we didn't add Fluttermane last time, and that was kind of a mistake. But now we're definitely going to make use of it, because use Fluttermane wherever it's legal, because it's absolutely insane. And we're running our usual Fluttermane set, but we're running Booster Energy because of Item Clause. And we're going to run basic EVs on it as well. And we're going to make it not Jolly, Timid. Jolly's for physical attackers, but it's essentially the same idea. And our next Pokemon is going to be actually Baxcalibur, because Baxcalibur has gotten more usage more recently, which I think is really cool, because pseudos are always really fun to use, and Baxcalibur is definitely a unique Pokemon. So we're going to go with Ice Shard, Icicle Spear, Glaive Rush, and then Earthquake. And we're going to go with max in attack and speed, and a little bit of extra in HP, but I want it to be adamant this time. And once again, making more usage as Series 2, we're going to be running Iron Bundle, because this Pokemon is also crazy, and it's an official Pokemon format, so like what's legal is constantly changing. And we're gonna go with Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, Encore, and then Ice Beam. And we're gonna be going max speed, max special attack, timid nature, and that little extra bit in defense. Alright, and the final Pokemon of not only this team, but this video, hold on, I'm just naming my Iron Bundle. It's going to be Dundozo. Dundozo is just a good defensive Pokemon to bring along. And so we're going to go with Leftovers, because we haven't made use of Leftovers yet. And we're going to go with the Wave Crash, Yawn, Fissure, because OHKO moves are legal in the Battle Stadium formats and VGC. They're just really niche, but I think Fissure Dundozo would be absolutely hilarious. And not max attack, max defense, because it's a defensive Pokemon. And yeah, that's going to be it for the March 2023 teams, and I hope you make good use of them. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.